Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial for Power BI. This is a beginner's tutorial by Slidescope, and in this tutorial we are discussing calculated column and measure in Power BI. So when you start creating visuals, when you start doing some analysis with Power BI, the first thing that you come across is in Power BI we can create calculated columns and we can also create measures. So first I will connect with some data and show you some examples, some basics. So we will simply click on get data, and from here we will click on a text or CSV file, and here you can see we have some sample data sets. In sample data set, let's connect sample superstore CSV. Let's connect this file. It's a CSV file, and here you can see it's data of orders that we have discussed in many of our tutorials. So in this data, every row represents an order, and in that order there is sales, in that order there is profit, some segment from which user has ordered, and so on. So like there is discount, there is order date, there is postal code, profit in that particular order, quantity ordered, sales. So these are some values. For example, if we check this, you will see a total sales here. Okay, so you will see that total sales is 22,97,200, or approximately 2.3 million. Now here what we have is a sum of sales that is being displayed, but when it comes, let's uncheck this and we can remove this graph. Here you can see modeling tab. Again, in this version of Power BI we have it in modeling tab. Obviously there are a lot more ways to create a new measure or a new column, but in your modeling tab here you have options to create a new measure, and this is how you can create a new measure. So in this DAX query, here we have the name of this measure. Let's call it total sales, and hence we can write sum of, and then we will pick that particular column which has the sales. So this sales is sales in every order, but when you will select this, so let's select sales, and this will simply mean that this is total sales, like the overall sales that we just saw. And now when let's create a card here, so let's create a card here, and in this card visual we will simply drag that measure. So here you will see you can directly drag it here, which is 2.3 million. Okay, so this is a measure, and first let's discuss this. So a calculated column or is used to expand table by adding new column. So first what we will do here, let's go to data sets and open this file. So this is a CSV file, and here you can see we have all these columns. Okay, in fact we have column up from A to U, from A index to U index we have these columns, and suppose we want to add a new column here. Okay, and let's say this column, it represents something like, so let's say this column represents rounded off value of sale. So how we will create, we write is equal to, we can write round function, sorry. So we will write round, and then round takes two arguments. One is the number, So in number we will select this sales, and then number of digits, let's say 1. So we want to round it up to 1 digit, and this. And now let's call it round sales. So we are creating a new column which is basically with the help of some kind of calculation, right? It can be round, it can be sum. Suppose we want customers complete address. So what we will do, we will concatenate country, city, and postal code and state, right? So we will concatenate these values with a comma, and we will get the complete address. So we can do a lot more things, like we can create something like what is the profit percentage. So total sales divided by profit, and then we can create profit percentage. We can do anything, right? So that's how we can create a column. And now suppose I simply do this, double click, so it will generate a column for me dynamically. So here you can see every value is rounded, right? 261.96 is rounded to 262, and this and that. So this is a calculated column. This calculated column will be applied to all the rows of this data, because every row here represents some product being ordered, and here we have how much of that product was ordered. For example, how much of this FURBO, which is the code for Bush Somerset collection bookcase, how much of this product has been ordered in this particular row. It is written consumer ordered this from United States, from Henderson City, from Kentucky State. This was the postal code, name was Claire Ute. So this is how we can create a calculated column. We can do it in Excel also, but let's remove this. So the same thing can be done in Power BI also. Okay, so a calculated column is something that becomes the part of the data itself, but the measures are something, obviously they are mentioned here, but they are stored temporarily. So let's read this. So a calculated column expands table by adding new column, and measure is used to summarize data into a single value. As you saw, we can show sum of total sale, average total sale, right? We can do a lot more things, like we created total sales. We can also create average total sales. Okay, so let's do it very quickly. So let's say average total profit, like average profit per row. What should be? We'll call it average profit, and on left hand side we will write the name of our new measure, and on the right hand side we will write average profit. Okay, you will select this column. Here when we select a column, you will see a square bracket basically represent the name of that column on which we are applying the calculation, and this particular thing here is the name of our table, is the name of our data source which is connected right now. So we can connect multiple tables here, so that's why you have to specify profit from which particular table. And when you will click apply here, so you will see average profit. And similarly we can create another card here, and it was stuck somehow. We can get another card here, and in this card we will drag the average profit that we just created. So this is overall average profit per row, like in every row we had an average profit of 28.66. So this is how measure is created, and calculated column is stored along with table, and it consumes memory. Okay, but a measure is calculated at runtime, or it is stored temporarily. We calculated it at runtime, so this will be calculated on the basis of some calculation that we have done. So it's a temporary thing. Calculated columns have less analytical capability, and measures have more analytical capabilities. An example of calculated column will be, again, let's assume a data set in which we have the selling price and the cost price of the product, but the profit is not given. So we can do something like selling price minus cost price is profit, right? So we can calculate this thing. So this will be a calculated column, and for every row, from top to bottom, for every row, it will calculate the profit for every order that we have, and then we can do sum of profit. So we can use even that calculated column also in a measure. So this is how a calculated column is different from a measure. A calculated column is something that we want for the entire data set, and measure is also something that we want, but it is more like a summary kind of a thing which we need. Now, one interesting thing about measure is, so we have created these measures. Okay, let's create a new page here in Power BI, and first of all, what we will do, we will select region. So when you will select region, obviously this is very small, let's zoom in. So you can see central, east, south and west. Okay, so we have these regions. Now when you will click on average profit, so it will show you the average profit for every region. So now it is summarizing the data. Now we are grouping. Yes, we are creating an aggregate value here. This is an aggregate value, but it is now aggregated, but the values are now grouped by region values. So in region we have 4 groups: central, east, south and west. So you can see the average profit for west region is more than any other region. Then comes east, and then comes south, and so on. So you can click on this table also, so to sort them in ascending or descending order. So this particular thing represents that this measure is not just for these cards, as we were seeing, right? It is not just for these cards, but it can be applied to any visual. For example, if you want to show this data in form of a pie chart, so you can do this, right? And here you can see in the legend, you will see that west region has most average profit, and it is also showing you a percentage. So it automatically does the percentage. It calculates the percentage and shows it when we hover on it. So this is what measure can do. And similarly, we can create some column. So we will go to modeling tab, and from modeling tab we will click on new column. Let's create a field which is basically concatenation of state and country. So we will call it state country. You can name it whatever you want. I'm just calling it state country just to demonstrate. So there is a function called concatenate, and in concatenate it can join 2 text string into 1 string. Okay, and this text string that I am going to take is a dynamic text string. So we will take state. So from here we will select state, comma, and then we will select the country. Obviously in our case the country is same, so we can write that literal string here also. So by literal string I mean we can do something like USA. Okay, so this will concatenate and create a calculated column for us, but we can also use the dynamic column that is given here, which represents country. And let's commit this. Now we will create another page here, and let's select customer name. So here is customer name. Then let's select country just to show you. Then select state. We can arrange them, by the way. Like we can reorder them as per our requirement, which will reflect in the report also. Here are the columns, and now we will select our calculated column, which is the state. Now here you can see one more thing. In the icon of a measure, you can see a calculator icon. Okay, you can see a calculator icon. So when you have too many measures, when you have too many columns, calculated columns that you have created for analysis, so in that case you will it will be difficult for you to recognize them. Hence these icons are there to help. For example, this particular icon means date, this means sum, right, or some kind of, here you can see summation icon. So this simply represents a sum or addition of all the values in. So this represents some kind of numerical value, and here we have state or country. So in a state or country, which is a calculated column, here we have this particular icon where fx is written, which simply means a calculated column, and others are normal columns. And then when we'll select this, so here you will see a concatenated value, and so here you can see Oklahoma, United States, things like that. We can go to this column, and in between we can add another value here. So we can write something like comma. So here you can see we are getting some kind of error, which is unexpected parameter, because by nature this concatenate function will accept only two strings. So now what we can do here is we can use another concatenate. Obviously there are many ways of doing the same thing, but when you will do this, so this will now concatenate state with a concatenated value of a comma with a space and this. Let's run this, and here you see the difference. So it is Oklahoma, comma, United States. So this was a simple demonstration of what we can do with calculated columns and measures, and we have created a lot of videos related to Power BI queries on our YouTube channel and even on our Udemy course. So you can, obviously you will go through a lot more DAX queries. This is just the beginning, and this is just the introduction of when to use column and when to use measure in Power BI.